Like to call the November 10th, 2022 meeting to order at 3:22 PM. Machines are open for roll call. The record show 7 council members are present. Mr. LaFrance and Mr. Blink are absent. Before we start, I forgot this last meeting, and I'd like to give my sympathies and everybody else to Mr. Roussel about his father passing away.
Thank you, Mr. Kanovich. And at this time, I'd also like to ask for a personal privilege to acknowledge Mr. LaFrance's absence today with the loss of his brother. So if you don't mind, we'd like to have a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Acknowledge the winners that are council members or in the audience for the public.
I'd like to congratulate
All the winners.
you're gonna have to pull your mic down. I can't hear nothing.
All council members who's elected.
Reverend Edwards,
Yeah, you got two.
Stand up, just tell him to stand up.
I don't see Chris. He must have stepped out. We have Reverend Edwards, who won the election here in District 1.
Congratulations.
Chris Schultz, he was here. I don't see him right now. And then have one in the runoff, Dustin Gallagher. I'd like to congratulate everybody who won or in the runoff. I'd like to say how sorry I am for the ones who didn't make it. You know, I know the parish president's like the quarterback of a team. You get the praise, but you also get the blame. And I know most of the blame, you know, you can't help what God does, and, you know.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Good start.
Item 2, executive session, there is none.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to do the deferrals?
Yes, if anybody has any deferrals, can you?
I have several already written down. 7B is going to be deferred. 9B.
9B?
9B is in boy. 9C and 9D is in dog. 9I. 9J. 9N. And that is it that I know of.
Does anybody else have any?
11G.
11G? Anyone else?
Let me see what else I got on
I'd like to defer,
here. You can defer H for me as well.
H,
Okay.
11H, and 11A,
D4.
Wait.
11B.
4.
11B.
B is in boy.
D,
And B4, you said? D4?
D4.
E, what about E, Mr. LaFrance?
Oh, yeah, and 11E for Councilmember LaFrance.
11B.
E,
Yeah, 11. D4.
Where the hell is that? E4.
Okay, the ones I have are 7B, 9B, 9C, 9D, 9I, 9J, 9N, 11G, 11H, 11B, E4,
it's D4, D is in dog.
D4.
Right.
Anyone else?
11E.
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 E is in Edward. Okay,
Item 3, proclamations, there are none. Item 4, status report by the parish president.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and council members. I don't have much to say today, but I do have to say, we do have some good news. We are processing water down at the Bootville plant as we speak. The microfiltration system is now working, It's going to take a couple of hours to get in the system to drop some of them levels, but we are successfully producing water, good clean water down in Bootville, and it'll be a matter of time before it gets to the residents. Today I did order another 18-wheeler of water. That's the third one, and that will come, I think today or tomorrow. And we did order some more ice. So we have went through two 18-wheelers of Kentwood water, which is 19 pallets of 82 cases on each pallet. And we went through almost 800 pounds of ice to the residents. So I directed them to do that with the ice, the same amount, and then split up another truckload of Kentwood water. So,
Like to thank you for that, and what people don't understand, that the state doesn't have a set level for salt, so
well,
you and the parish are doing this.
Well, you know, we've tried, you know, this is our first attempt of trying to do something to clarify the water with the osmosis system. And, you know, we had some missteps or some, you know, take one step forward, two steps back. But because of the river being so low, we had a lot of particles in the water, which we had to order a microfiltration system. Now, we've come in contact with GOSEP, who will actually reimbursed us for those expenses that we're using for this treatment plant. And on the other side, on the Point LaHash side, there is a machine that should have been gotten here. It's on site now. And that will be the Corps of Engineers taking over those expenses. So we're pretty happy about that situation. We were able to secure both the Corps and GOSEP. So we're watching those levels, and that will be hooked up fairly quickly. And, you know, Mr. Chairman, you touched on it a little bit before, and I want to recognize all the council members who are here today. You know, it's been a long 4 years. It's been a challenging 4 years. I don't know if I'll be at the next meeting, so I just wanted to directly speak to all of you council members and say, you know, I'm proud that I had the opportunity to work with each and every one of you guys. We will not always agree, but we always had the respect for each other that we will continue to this day. And to Mr. Arbro and Ms. Newberry, you know, I'm in the same boat you're in, and I know that it's how you feel, but keep your head up. You've done a great job, and I appreciate your service and your commitment to your district and your community. Mr. Russo, congratulations, and to Mr. Hinckley, congratulations. And look, we will have a new president, but, you know, we've got to look forward to working together. You know, that's something that is a mindset that we all have to get into. Sometimes that's uncomfortable conversations to have, but I will be supportive of whoever is the next parish president. It'd be naive to say that I can't work with them, because I want what's best for Plaquemines Parish, and I want what's best for our community. So I will thank all of you guys who I've worked for. In the last 4 years, I've served some of you with you on the council, and I worked with you in the administration. Good luck in your future endeavors, and I appreciate it. But I really want to say I'm proud of these 5 right here. These 5 that have been through thick and thin, and you're only as good as the people around you. And we've had a superior cast, and these guys have never said no to me. They said, let's get it done. So I'm very thankful for them. Sometimes things don't work out like they do, but they'll bounce back. We'll all bounce back, and we'll get better. You know, we'll be a better parish. But I just want to say it's been an enjoyable 4 years, and we're on to big and better things. So thank you, I'm sorry. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Tyrone Edwards. Congratulations on winning District 1. Mr. Schultz was here. I don't see him. Is that Miss Stacy Madison? Congratulations being in the runoff. And Mr. Dustin Galloway, congratulations, guys. And thank you for your commitment to your community. It's not always easy. It's not always fun. But if you lead with integrity, you lead with your heart. So, thank you.
Thank you and your administration. Like you said, we don't always see eye to eye, but y'all did what y'all had to do, and I appreciate that. And I don't think there'll ever be another administration that said they had 3 years of COVID, and, you know, they all could say storms, but, you know, I appreciate all the work y'all did.
Yeah, and I'd like to just say the amount of money saved by us working together with GOSEP and the Corps is about $1.8 million that the state and the Corps has agreed to work with us on. So that's a substantial sum of money that neither agency had to fund, but because of our relationship and whatnot, that's significant savings. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, my comments basically the same, but I wanted to let the president and his team know that the storm is passing over and never did stop with this team you have and with the council here. Because every time we eliminate one era of storm, here come another storm. Not physically, but just the things that we were doing with the COVID, the bad weather, the oil crisis, the whole 9 yards. It was challenge after challenge after challenge. And the government prevailed. So I want to thank the efforts of your administration for making sure that that happened. We have a government that still exists in the right way. Now, we all didn't agree, that's for sure. We're human beings, and we're not going to be perfect. Because the only perfect person walked this face of the earth was Jesus Christ. And they took care of him in a negative way. So that means that we all have things that we have to do and follow. But I think in the gist of it all, the heart was always in the right place. You know, always that with you, that I've seen and felt. So this one, best of luck to everybody. And I hope the best for you and that you have a very comfortable life, very fruitful life, enjoyable life that you're about to go. And the only other question I have about the water. The water's okay on the East Bank? Do we need to you need to bring water in? And I ain't seeing, and we're aware of that?
The chloride levels on the East Bank are still below where you can taste any salt in the system. They're at about 200 right now. At 250 is when you start tasting. The river actually came up a little bit here recently and is expected to stay up for the next week or so. We believe that'll give us enough time to get the reverse osmosis unit and the filtration system hooked up and online before we have any issues.
So it's not an impact to the people that have high blood pressure or heart problems that they can drink the water?
No, sir, not at this
Okay,
time.
good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Roussel?
President Lapine, since this is your last meeting, I guess I will chime in. I thought maybe I would say something later, but I'll say it today. So we've had a good 4 years and a bad 4 years, and you and I have had our ups and downs, but I gotta say that I'm sure that you did the best you could do with what you had. And sometimes you didn't have much, but you tried to do it, and I appreciate that. And for all of the times that we disagreed, it was never personal. I know even on the campaign trail, when we would see each other, we were always cordial and professional, and I appreciated that. We never got down in the gutter, even to the campaign mailers. You and I used to joke about somebody pulling each other down, and at the end of the day, we laughed about it. So it never got personal, and I appreciate your efforts that you've put forward in the last 4 years of being the president. And as far as the hurricanes go, I can sympathize with what you went through, knowing, you know, what I went through with Katrina and Rita. And you'll never recover to where some people think that you did everything wrong during that storm. And you'll live with that for a long time, because I still live with it from hurricanes Katrina and Rita. I hear it on a constant basis, but you didn't bring the storm ashore. It wasn't your fault that the flood came in. It was Mother Nature and the hurricanes. So knowing what you went through, I appreciate it. I know what you went through in the Emergency Operations Center. Sat there and watched you go through it. Sometimes you'd lose a lot of weight running up and down the halls. But at the end of the day, you did what you could, the best you could with what you had. So thank you for your service, and I appreciate working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Russo.
Ms. Newberry?
I just want to say thank y'all so much. Y'all have been, excuse me, I have a little laryngitis, so bear with me. Y'all have been great working with, great colleagues. Kirk, thank you so much. I'll come back.
Thank you. Mr.
Item
Blink?
4A,
Wait, Mr. Blink?
Thank y'all for your service throughout this time. Really do appreciate y'all standing up for
Thank you, Mr. Blink.
Can start. Next item.
4A, update by charter directors.
Everybody had their emails, any questions? Next item.
Item 5,
Oh,
bids-
hold up, Ms. Newberry? Can she get it out?
You know, I always have these questions to Crystal or Scott or Todd. I'm gonna miss these questions and receive these answers. But, you know, y'all been very pleasure to work with, and I appreciate it. Y'all have always taken my calls. It's really been a great experience, I know, for myself, and I'm sure for y'all too. And I just wish you guys the best of luck, whether y'all continue this ride the next 4 years or not. But whoever decides to whoever wins District 6, I'm sure we'll do great here and bring great things to Plaquemines Parish. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Ms. Newberry.
Ms. Taylor, I'd like to also thank you for the mosquito truck. Thank you. Next item.
Item 5, bids and advertisements. There are none. Item number 6, beer and liquor licenses.
If you have any queue in, I'll start on Mr.
I was
LaFrancis.
about to say, I think everybody has some.
Freeman's Food Mark, 26277 Highway 23, Port Sulphur. Woodland Plantation, 21997 Highway 23. B&C Ventures, 17509 Highway 23. Thompson's Kitchen, 105 Camellia Drive. Myrtle Grove Marina, 181 Marina Road. B&H Beverage, 114 Azalaw Street. The G-Spot Daiquiri, 113 Amen Lane. And, Ports Old Cypress Boa, 42815 Highway 23. Joshua's Marina, 309 Bureau's Boat Harbor. Morris Hart, 42813 Highway 23. Philisac Jesuit Bend, 113 Line Club Lane. Cypress Cove Marina, 235 Cypress Cove Road. Elsie Marine Hardware, 42991 Highway 23. Cypress Cove Grill, 226 Cypress Cove Road. Hong Kim Investments, 111 Crane Drive. Black Velvet Oyster Bar, 105 Everin Lane. Mr. Blink?
So 2 for the Delta Marina. One is Suite A, the other is Suite B. They're both located at 317 Rosemary Drive, Empire, Louisiana, 70050.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, I have 7. Zydeco's Restaurant, located on Highway 23 under Cooper Ventures LLC. I have State Oil Fuel Center, located on Highway 23. I have another one for State Oil Fuel Center, Highway 23. Salvo Seafood, Liquor Class A, Highway 23. N&L LLC, doing business as the Belchase Exxon, Class B, liquor license, Highway 23. Villanueva LLC, doing business as Jalapenos, Class A, Highway 23. And ASVG and Associates, operating as Dave's Beverage on Highway 23, Class B.
Mr. Alborough?
One for New Orleans Original Daiquiris at 8102 Highway 23 for a Class A.
Ms. LaHaye?
I have three. Clubhouse Bar and Grill, location 8133 Highway 23. Toast Event Room, 7427 Highway 23. Asahi Sushi Bar, 102 Woodland Highway, Suite 7 and 8.
Dr. Gui?
El Paso Mexican Grill, 8617 Highway 23, Belchase. Belchase Tobacco Discount, 616 Justice Court, Marrero. Belchase Self Serve, 106 Morning Glory Court, Belchase. Belchase Cafe, 8475 Highway 23, Belchase. Blue Angel, Alpadago, 9670 Highway 23, Belchase.
Ms. Newberry?
I have two from Councilmember Newberry. The first one is Captain Larry's Inc., located at 11334 Highway 23. And Penny Gas Station, which is the Philisac, located at 12753 Highway 23.
Mr. Bartholomew?
BV Blue Room Class A license at 12829, oh, it's 12825 Highway 15, Phoenix, Louisiana, 70040. The next one is DJ's Class B license at 18013 Highway 15, Point of La Hache, Louisiana. That's all.
I'll offer as for second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bartholomew. Any questions? Besides who's buying the next beer? Machine's open. Passes 8-0. Let the record show Mr. Blink is present now.
Item 7, building permits. 7A, construction permits. 7A1, Crescent Midstream LLC, application number 2022-925, dated October 18th, 2022. Install a Echo Bale erosion control system at an existing facility which is in danger of structural failure due to extreme erosion. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Mr. Bartholomew offers there a second. I'll set, Ms. LaHaye seconds. Are there any questions? Machine's open. It passes 8-0.
Item 8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
For the first time ever, we have one introduction. It is for Councilmember Roussel. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 22-106 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Oh, first, my bubble.
Okay. We have one more, and who is this for? Danny? Okay. This one's for Councilmember Bartholomew. A resolution directing the parish president to issue a letter urging the Corps of Engineers, Coastal Restoration and Protection Authority, and the state of Louisiana to close Mardi Gras Pass and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
No, we couldn't get away with just
I
one.
know. Okay, we have two for Councilmember Gui. Councilmember Gui, this first one that you gave me about civil service, they told me this was the incorrect amount, and we've introduced it under Councilmember Roussel with the correct amount. Okay. This is for Councilmember Gui also, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference, which is paraph thereto, with reference to application number 2022-499, dated August 17th, 2022. No more?
No, ma'am.
Item 9, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 9A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 9A1, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of lots 14, 15, and 16, Square 29, Belchase Township, Belchase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into Lot 15A, Square 29, Bell Township, Belchase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufran Surveying and Engineering, Incorporated, dated May 17, 2022. The owner, having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gui.
Dr. Gui offers a second. Ms. Newberry? Ms. Newberry seconds. Can you cue in? You know,
This is a piece of property behind the water plant where the individual had 3 lots. He's combining them into one. And all of the appropriate departments have surveyed and approved. We've got all of the access and rights of way. And he's been working on it for quite some time, and I'm offering it for approval.
Any questions? No complaints, right?
Not a one.
Machines open. Passes 8-0.
9.2, an ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map therein adopted by reference and which is parafed thereto with reference to application number 2022-498 dated August 17, 2022. Councilmember Kotnovich.
I'll offer as for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blink. This is bought property. He's gonna make boat sheds and some trailer spots. There's no one lives in over a mile from him, so there's no complaints.
Oh.
Put his own fire hydrant in, on water line,
This is on,
Triumph, and below where the Triumph shell used to be.
got it, okay, all right. No, I know which agenda number, I just wanted to make sure this was in the same place I'm thinking it is.
Any other questions? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9A3, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision Lot 10C, Jesuit Bend, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 10C1, 10C2, 10C3, 10C4, and 10C5. Jesuit Bend, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufran Surveying and Engineering Incorporated, dated April 6, 2022. The owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines, without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newberry.
Ms. Newberry?
Yeah, I'll offer.
Ms. Newberry offers
I'm
their
offer-
second,
I'm gonna offer it with a discussion right now,
just for discussion.
and then we'll see how we go from there.
Okay, offered for discussion, there's a second. Second by Mr. Albar, for discussion only.
So I'll offer it for discussion because I know this is a very controversial matter in District 6. This is Ms. Judy Daigle. She lives between some homes in a certain section on to the right, and I don't know if all council members are aware of the area. We've had some opposing emails, several phone calls to myself and to some council members. I just a little concerned because Ms. Daigle is at an age where she wants to take her piece of property that she owns from Highway 23 to the canal. And she has a home, a large home with a pool, and it's a financial burden to her, and she wants to sell it. And since she has to subdivide to sell it, she wants to go ahead and subdivide the property in front of her because she actually lives in a mobile home herself with a pond. And she has followed the policies of putting a dry fire hydrant to satisfy the parish rules of zoning. So, but she also wants to re-subdivide into 5 because she has children, and she wants to have her property settled before, the day that she's no longer here on earth. So, she wants to take this property and subdivide it into 5, and her neighbors are complaining because they feel like it takes away from the value of that section and that area. That I don't think it's any disrespect to Miss Judy Daigle, but I think they're looking into the future of Plaquemines Parish on how they feel about this. So, I think Mr. Danny Trosclair is here to speak on her behalf, and I'd like him to make a statement about it, and if any council members have, and where they feel on this particular ordinance. Thank you.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
Danny Trosclair, 115 Adam Drive, Belchase, Jesuit Bend. Been a resident there since '04, and I represent Ms. Judy Daigle in this matter. She's, the purpose of this re-subdivision request is specifically for her to sell the home. She built the home with Mr. Albert Daigle in 1998. She acquired the property, I believe, in somewhere around 2014 or 15 from a settlement, and her daughter lived there for 6 years. And she built a modular home right in front of it with approval from the parish government.
Well, I have to say, then I'm glad you clarified that because I thought it was a mobile home, so it's a modular
It's a
home.
modular
There's
home.
differences between a modular and a mobile, so.
Property's in great shape, and she's owned it since '98. Like I said, she's been living in the modular home for 8 years. She leased, recently, she had the house in the rear, is the one that I'll be selling if this goes through, is the one that she wants to get rid of due to high insurance. And she just no longer needs the house, and it's going to be in excess of over $500,000 listed, once it's listed for sale. That property includes over 3.5 acres, and it also extends out to the 40 ARPAT line. So she's still going to remain living on the property. The 3 lots toward Highway 23, 2 are going to be vacant, and the front parcel already has an existing trailer that was there, and she's just going to replace the trailer. The lady that was living there passed recently, and her relative sold it, so that's her position is to put another single-wide trailer up in the front and lease the space out so she can have money to maintain the property like she's been doing for since she's owned it. So I have spoken to the neighbors, both on the south side and the north side, and I understand their concerns, but I can assure you that that she's specifically doing this, just like on a piece of property that she did up closer to Chevron on Alexa Drive, where Mr. Albert Daigle subdivided the property and gave some parcels to some other grandchildren on the other side of his relations. And I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have.
I got 5 emails on the subject and numerous calls. Said that there's already a slab and 2 hookups for camper trailers being put in.
So, to answer that question, yes, there was a single wide trailer that was already existed and permitted to be there. And when the owner passed, her brother, who was taking care of her, lives on the highway, he sold the trailer. And so when they moved the trailer, they kind of messed the property up. There was nothing under there. There was no slab, there was no rocks, it was just straight sand and dirt. So she hired a contractor to come in and put a slab there for an 80-foot slab for an 80-foot trailer. That's typically what this, I think it's 10 or 12 foot wide, whatever it was. So when somebody else wants to come in and put a trailer there, that's pre-existing, and I believe that's grandfathered in based on the permitted office. But that's the reason for that. And I believe there was a misplacement of the plumbing stack, but, so one of those stacks are going to be removed. I don't know when, but that was, that's the reason for that. So she's making it better, so if there's ever a future movement of a trailer on or off, that there's a slab there and not just straight dirt. And I think that's required as well for a new trailer anyway. to have, a hard surface.
Danny, even though the trailer's been removed, she doesn't have to go so many feet up in the air, or?
I believe it's grandfathered, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I believe she has to meet a minimum elevation, and I think the minimum elevation over there is somewhere about 9 feet. So I don't know what her elevation is at the starting point because she's closer to the highway. I think she may be at a 3 to a 4. So yes, they will have to come up, and naturally you're going to have a trailer that's 3 or 4 feet off the ground anyway. So, but they may have to elevate it up another couple feet to meet the minimum requirement. Whatever those requirements are, yes, she'll meet those.
Because I know replacing nothing's grandfathered in, you gotta go to the elevation. But the neighbors are concerned that you're dividing it to get around the trailer spots, because you're gonna put in camper trailer spots.
That is not true.
Up to 4 on each property.
I don't know what's allowed in that district, but that's not her intent at all. And she has expressed that to everyone over there. There was even a Facebook post about it this morning. I set everybody straight on there. I sent them a copy of the survey, opened up my phone. She even posted her phone number on there if anybody had some concerns, to please reach out. But she lives on the property. She does not want to muddle it up. So it's not, the use of it is going to be the same that it was before she applied for this re-subdivision.
Why subdivide it?
She wants to sell the property in the back. You can't sell the house alone if it's all still one property.
Could subdivide it into 2 lots and sell it.
She's trying to do an exit plan, you know.
Thank you, Ms. LaHaye.
Yes, I got 6 letters, 1 phone call, adamantly against this. One reason is that they feel that it will lower the value of their property. Second is, well, number 1 is they all believe that eventually it will be for trailers, RVs. But you made a statement, I thought anything below the wall down now had to be elevated up to 9 feet. How are they going to get around that, the mobile?
So the base flood elevation, depending on where you fall, I mean, I've been doing
Okay.
real estate for 35 years. So if you're at a +5 and your base elevation is 9 feet, you have to build 4 feet up.
Right, so what is the base?
I don't know. So when
Yeah,
she goes to
because that's
apply
a
for a new
biggie.
trailer,
Because these things could be way up in the air beside these beautiful homes that,
I have one I live in Jesuit Bend Estates, and they built a new home around the corner for me, and yes, she had to build up.
would you want it next door to you?
In what manner?
This project?
Yes. Yes, because I know what her intent is, and it's not to have a trailer there. It is for her intent is to have it for her grandchildren or children to build single-family homes, which would actually enhance the value of that area, not depreciate it.
Single-family homes
Yes,
or
ma'am.
mobile homes?
Single-family.
Okay, but mobile home type, single-family?
No, single-family.
Okay.
Single-family brick structures. I mean, I know what you're saying.
Bricks and mortar?
Everybody's anticipating that this is going to be a trailer or whatever, but if you go in that area specifically, adjacent to this property, across the street from this property, and south of this property, there's nothing but trailers around that whole area. So I don't really see what the issue is. Jesuit Bend's a very hodgepodge type location.
Well, we drove by there today, but I mean, I didn't see trailer. I saw the lot where you're talking about with the slab, and the thing, and the homes, when you're traveling south. I didn't see all of these trailers you're talking about, But that's what I want. So you don't know what the base flood elevation is. So you're not sure how high they would have to build either houses or mobile homes when they start to build.
No, ma'am, I'm not a
Because
surveyor.
that would mean a lot. Okay, I'm done.
Ms. Newberry?
Honestly, I brought this up for discussion because I don't think we had the vote to support Ms. Judy's. Is she willing to subdivide it into two for right now, or I can defer it to?
I can't answer that question. That's, I'd have to get back with her on that.
And I know she wants to move with this, but I don't want to see this fail. I know what she's trying to do, and I know what her intent is. So I'm just going to defer it, and I would advise her to subdivide it into two, because we can do an amendment at the next meeting. That way she can sell her home, and then maybe with the next council in the next 4 years, she may get the support.
Yep. And I asked if anybody wants to reach out. I'm happy to, give you guys a tour of the location, come meet with Miss Judy. She couldn't be here. She was sick. So she doesn't drive. She doesn't even have a vehicle. So, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I don't want this to fail on her behalf. And I'll give her a call again and let her know what the,
You met with her?
yes, I have met with her, and her intent is not to put mobile homes. She says at one point in time, she had a mobile home there that was not good tenants, and she had to kick them out, move the trailer, put a new one, because she has bent over backwards for her neighbors. She has never wanted to be a bad neighbor. I know she's very heartbroken by the surrounding, what's happening right now. I know what her intent is, but the surrounding neighbors is very concerned about what the future of that property could be.
But, and just to add, Miss Judy has been a very student of a neighbor, so to speak. She has allowed the neighbor on the south side to hunt property that she owns. Also has given a right-of-way for the neighbor to have Entergy install power poles on her side of the property for his benefits, for their benefit, and has always kept her property in pristine condition. So I asked that you guys tour it and look at it, go talk to her directly, get your feel, and so when it comes up again,
Well, I'm not going to move on this today. I'm just going to defer it. You can have that conversation when you leave here with her, that we don't have the support for her subdivision. If she would consider subdividing into two, if she wants to get something done for the end of the year, or we can defer it until the next new council comes along and they may have a difference of opinion.
okay.
Thank you, Danny, for taking your time to come. Appreciate it.
Ms. LaHaye, you wanted to speak again? All right. The items be deferred.
Item 9E, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, Belle Chase Water Treatment Plant Raw Water Intake Pump Station Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And this has changes.
I'm sorry.
Can you read the changes?
Okay. On line 4, before the original whereas, there's a new whereas added. It says, whereas Plaquemines Parish government has been awarded additional funding in the amount of $1.8 million for the Belle Chase Water Treatment Plant Raw Water Intake Pump Station Project from the Economic Development Administration. In section 1, on line 12, the amount of money appropriated is $800,000. On line 13, it states from the fund balance designated for infrastructure and by appropriating $1.8 million to the Belle Chase Water Treatment Plant Raw Water Intake Pump Station Project from the Economic Development Administration. Those are the changes.
And with that, Mr. Roussel, you offer?
Yes, I offer with the changes as read.
Mr. Roussel offers, there a second? Second by Mr. Alborough. Any questions?
What this is, as you see, we deferred this item at the last meeting because we were applying through Regional Planning Commission to try to seek extra funding. And I think President Lapine was informed by Regional Planning yesterday late yesterday afternoon, early yesterday afternoon, that we have been granted an extra $1.8 million through this disaster fund for the hurricane that hit in Texas. And this is where the original the $4 million came from for this water plant. And this gives us the addition because the bid came in at $7,833,000, which we were going to appropriate money out of the impact fees from Venture Global. And so this reduces that amount that we are taking out of the Venture Global impact fees by 1.8. And you can elaborate on that, Mr. Lapine, if you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. Yeah, hats off to Maggie Bonneville with RPC for really going out and being aggressive. And we were hopeful that she would secure some money, and we did come back and got $1.8 million. So we won't have to take as much money out of infrastructure, but that will get this project moving. This water intake, the bids are ready to go. We just had to secure all the rest of the money. So we'll get that water intake project going very soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any other questions? Audience, machine's open. Passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Item 9F, an ordinance to amend sections 21 through 47 and 21 through 137A10 in the Code of Ordinance and Section 7J, ordinance number 2264, to provide sufficient size of fire hydrant water lines and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
We,
Can you read the,
in the preamble's going to read an ordinance to amend sections 2147 and 21-137A10 in the parish code of ordinances with a S, and section 7J of ordinance number 22-64 to provide sufficient size for fire hydrant water lines and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. In the actual verbiage of the code in section 1, on line 3, after the quote, the size, it says sufficient size to ensure, E-N-S-U-R-E. The same change is made in the verbiage of the actual code in section 2, ensure, E-N-S-U-R-E. Once again, in the verbiage for section 3 of the actual code, ensure, E-N-S-U-R-E. And the word proved is replaced with the word provided.
and with those, I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Roussel. This was brought to me by Mr. Burris, and he can elaborate a little.
It was brought to my attention by Ms. Amitra that the plumbing, or I should say the fire code changed with regard to trailer facilities. An 8-inch line is now required instead of a 6-inch line. And obviously, we have some folks coming in, getting temporary trailer park permits, et cetera, and all of the engineers who were putting on the designs were using 6-inch lines instead of 8-inch lines. The code has been changed, and so we're trying to update the code so that everyone's now using 8-inch lines in their plans and instead of the 6-inch lines, which just brings us in line with state code.
Thank you. Any questions? Audience, machine's open. Passes 8-0.
9G, an ordinance authorizing the parish president to execute a lease extension for another 5 years with a 5-year option to renew of the primary lease agreement between Plaquemines Parish Government and Madare and Sons Marine Corp. For the leasing of lots 47, 48, and 49 of the Venice Jump Basin, Venice, Louisiana lease agreement dated November 14, 2002, registered in COB 1035 Folio 316 to freeze the annual rental amount at $18,615.94 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Can you do the,
Sure. In the third whereas, at the end of the first sentence, we're adding the word an, A-N. On the second line of the third whereas, the word on is being deleted and the words date of has been added. And in the first section, the second to last line of that section, the words "what if X" have been crossed out. A comma has been added after exercised on the next line, and H time has been struck out.
With those changes, I'll offer as for a second. Second by Dr. Gui. I brought this to the administration, person renting the property asked to do this. He made a bunch of improvements the last few years, and with the improvements, it was supposed to go up, was it 5%?
So Madera and Sons obviously has been having this lease since 2002, I believe. And so it's been renewed once before. As part of that renewal process, Madera and Sons provided proof of over $150,000 in improvements to the property, and that's significant because you only get extensions if you make a certain amount of improvements, a certain dollar amount. $150,000 is the max, so you could extend up to 30 years based on those improvements alone. The council last time didn't do a 30-year lease. It's my understanding on the last renewal, there was a 5% escalation clause, and so whatever the original rent was increasing by 5% each year, which, 5% grows pretty fast. It's my understanding that the current tenants, Madera and Sons, we reached out to them as well to let them know that the lease was coming up for expiration, but I think Mr. Kognovich had spoken to them, and they indicated that they could not afford the 5% escalation clause any longer, but that they were interested in leasing it again if we were to freeze the rate at the current amount. It's my understanding that Mr. Kognovich was amenable to that, and that's the way the ordinance was drafted. Essentially, what will happen is it's for another 10 years. The initial 5 years of this extension would be frozen, and then should circumstances change, the council could then reconsider another escalation clause or perhaps an addition for the second 5 years, should Madera and Sons and/or the council decide to approve and/or exercise their option to renew.
Thank you. Because he called me and asked me to do this. He said if we didn't want to do it, he would just give the property up. And I thought 18,000 was better than no 1,000, so. Any questions, Ms. Newberry?
I'm all about business, and I don't want to lose anybody's business. Have we looked at the market value of the property around that? Just
I'll be honest with you, I didn't do a market study. I do know that there was an original bid done on the lot, obviously, and I do know that the tenants are entitled to, not entitled, but the council can approve renewals based on the improvements they've made. And so, obviously, we're always concerned about the Cabela's test, meaning that no one's getting a free ride, but the statutes allow for additional extensions based on the improvements alone. So the fact that we're not escalating the rate moving forward, there's nothing illegal or inappropriate about that. But if the council says we're not interested in this, we think we can get more, then, we would have to put it out for bid again. And then obviously the bid process would determine whether or not, we could get more or get less, So that's just something you all would have to take. Normally on these renewals, as long as the market rate seems fair and the improvements were made, we don't really do a market analysis typically. But if that's something the council wants us to do, we could. But, if you all were to renew this, it would be no different than, substantially different than anything we've done in the past.
do y'all know how large the lots are? I mean, 18,000 a year isn't a lot.
But this might fit 2 tugboats he has, and it's not much property.
Okay.
It's in the curve, and Venice Port has numerous docks open, and nobody's knocking the doors down to come.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank y'all so much.
Any other questions? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9H, an ordinance to amend the 2022 General Fund and Road Maintenance Fund, operating revenue and expenditure budgets. Flood Control, General Department, Recreation Facilities and Services Department, and Road Maintenance, Public Right-of-Way Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
I'll offer ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alborough. Administration wants some new vehicles. Is this what this is?
On this one, administration was awarded a grant, and Ms. Hilda got with department heads and administration, and there are 3 vehicles there, flood control, recreation, and road maintenance. That's what this is for.
Thank you. Any questions? Administration, audience, machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9K, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, repair Ole Pump Station project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newberry.
Ms. Newberry, you offer? Ms. Newberry offers that second. Second by Mr. Roussel. Ms. Newberry?
Yes, one of our pumps is out, and I guess Scott can explain, but it's gonna cost $600,000 in order to get it back running, and it's something that the community would like being repaired, to be repaired before next hurricane season come. And it's the whole pump from the top to the bottom. It's a process, and it's a very expensive process to repair that pump. So if Scott wants to explain it a little bit more, he can.
Yeah, the pump had the extension damage. It's the number 2 pump on Ollie Pumping Station. They have 4, so we still have 3 left. And it does have major damage. They had to rebuild the shafts. The shafts is what's gonna cost the most. It's like $580,000, the quote we got. You know, once they start tearing into things, it may change a little bit, so we're asking $600 for it.
Thank you. Mr. Blank?
Sure, this isn't for the Fairbanks Morse engine in the back, is it?
Sorry?
Is this for one of the Caterpillar engines up front, or one of the Waukesha engines, or is this for the
The
Fairbanks
Caterpillar
Morse?
engine, one of the major Caterpillar engines, it's one of the bigger pumps, and that's a 72-inch vertical pump.
Got it, thank you.
Pull the whole pump out, gearbox and everything, you gotta put, they need the crane, trucks. It's a major job.
It's important, thank you.
Any other questions? Audience, machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9L, a resolution approving the request for a conditional use to Vulcan Materials Company to operate an open storage of construction materials and aggregate supplies in a FP floodplain zoning district located on a certain tract of land designated as the northern portion of International Marine Terminal's property, parcel number 1269400, Highway 23, Myrtle Grove, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 5, Township 16 South, Range 25 East, all in accordance with application number 2022-500, dated August 22nd, 2022. Council Member LaFrance.
I'll offer for Mr. LaFrance. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Alborough. This is for them to have a storage facility.
They in the audience.
Any questions? Yeah. Ms. Newberry?
Did I read that right? There were, the board said there was some oppositions to it. Does anybody know why?
Anybody representing the company?
Anybody representing Vulcan? Can y'all come up? Can you state your name and address for the record?
Patrick McDaniel, 2400 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Suite 105, Kenner, Louisiana.
Jeff Burlett, 40137 Old Highway 11, Pearl River, Louisiana.
Thank you, Ms. Newberry.
Yes, is there a reason why y'all had objections to this? Were y'all at the meeting at the
Planning and zoning.
on the zoning board? Did y'all have objections? According to the board, y'all had some objections. Is that true?
Yes, well, it wasn't for us. It was with Kinder Morgan. We're on the north property of
Yeah.
theirs, that section. And they've had issues with dust, and they thought it was us, but it's been ongoing for years, I believe, with them and Kinder.
So on our way down, I did notice they have a truck trying to help control the dust. And unfortunately, with construction, there's going to be dust and y'all plan on helping, so y'all have the project has nothing to do with the dust then, right? Is what you're saying?
No, I'm not by the LNG project.
Got it.
But we do run sprinkler systems for dust control at that site. Dust control and material that knocks the dirt off before it gets to the street. So we try to manage it the best we can.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mr. Blank?
Sure. It says here that the permit fee is $900. Just wondering, seems like there's probably going to be impacts from this, trucks on the road, all the other stuff. I mean, is this suitable?
That's what the fee is, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, sure. We're getting ready to put even more dump trucks on the road. There's a $900 permit fee. There's going to be
This request is for a storage area. I don't know that it's putting any more trucks on the road than already are. Can you guys address that issue? Is this going to increase truck traffic?
We're going from the yard to the job site, so we're not running, through the parish itself. I mean, we are touching the road, but I'd say we're on a limited basis. And again, with the sprinkler system and the additional rock, we're making best efforts to minimize any dust or any other, anything to come on the road. But I would, if you look at the pattern where our yard is and where the job site is, I think we're as close as we can, and with no intent other than going to the site.
And y'all are collecting sales tax, correct?
I'm sorry?
You're collecting sales tax?
Collecting sales tax?
Collecting sales tax at the sale of the stone?
I don't even, we're selling direct, strictly to Byler, who's going to Venture Global, so I'm not on the accounting side.
I would believe they are.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Roussel?
So you have an occupational license?
Yes,
And you're registered with the sales tax department?
yes.
So you're wholesaling or you're delivering to the job site? And I guess the question that Mr. Blank had asked, we're trying to make sure that we are capturing all of the required sales tax for this job.
To my knowledge, it would be yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Machine's open. Passes 8-0.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Item 9M, an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund operating expenditure budget, flood control, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I'll offer for Mr. LaFrance and ask for a second. Second by Dr. Gouy. And anybody want to?
This is for the T-wall at Point Celeste for Venture Global to go ahead and mount the flanges, so when hurricane season comes next year, they can put in 4 24-inch bumps as needed. And these flanges will be customized, made, and provided by Venture Global and the pumps also.
Thank you. Any questions? Audience, machine's open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9-0, an ordinance to amend the 2022 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gouy.
Yes.
Can you read the the corrections?
Sure. On line 8, the date of October 27th, 2022 has been added. And on lines 13 and 14, the language that has been added as shown on the attached PPG Proposed Personal Services Budget Amendments 2022, Pay Plan 3% COL.
I'll offer with those changes.
Dr. Gouy offers there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alborough. Any questions? Dr. Gouy?
Yeah, this is a follow-up to the plan we adopted October 27th, and I would like to turn it over to the administration to answer any specific questions regarding this. So, brief explanation, if you will.
Okay, this is, we did the Archer study, we adopted the raises for the employees. What this does is the budgeting side of it, to put inside the budget in each department. So that's what this is gonna do.
Mr. Roussel?
Then this will be applied to each individual employee, this ordinance, or just to the category of the budget?
It'll be through the category of budget.
And so we'll do that in the budget hearing, or when we have the budget hearing, that's when it'll be disclosed?
Yes,
Because I thought this was in the form of the budget that was presented to us already.
not each department, and each individual. It would have taken us too much time,
Right,
but
but,
we will have it for budget hearings.
But I thought that the dollar amount was already
Dollar amount is-
in the budgeted area. So what this does is break it down to what else, what next?
Each department, Rochelle told me this would break it down into each department in the budgets. Got more in it?
The personal service, this is the amendments for the personal service budgets. The manpower tables will be updated after civil service makes all of this effective. And so once civil service goes in and enters in all of the new pay based off the Archer study, then you will see that reflected in the manpower tables. This is the money that's needed to fund the raises once the civil service director does this for the remaining part of 2022, which essentially is just going to be December. So it's 1/12 of what we would pay next year, added to the personnel service budgets of each department so that we could pay that through the end of 2022. When civil service enters in all that data and everything's done, you will see the manpower tables where the figures for each employees will actually change.
So this will be done before the end of the year, so that monthly manpower table that we receive from finance, after this is adopted before December, that will reflect their Archer pay?
I did not get that specific, I did not specifically ask Rochelle that question, but that's been my understanding all along, because you all normally get the manpower budgets when it's effective. Now, I'll have to talk to Rochelle if the data's all entered in, but my understanding is the civil service director and finance have been working together to put all that as soon as possible. So I will talk to Rochelle and try to confirm that, Tuesday, the budget hearings are, that actually all the changes will have been made, or they'll be reflected in the manpower table.
Thank you. Any other questions? Audience? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9P, an ordinance to amend the 2022 five-year capital improvements plan for preparation and recovery efforts due to previous hurricanes and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gouy, we have changes.
Can you read the changes?
Y'all have them distributed?
Yes.
You don't have one attached?
Okay, go ahead.
In the first whereas on line 6, the number inserted is $35,443 and $35,443,440
3,000.
35,443,1110. On line 7, after the word Ida, $34,910,420. From the word "the" has been removed from FEMA. And line 8, the word "funds" have been included after FEMA in parentheses. And the following language has also been added on line 8. $487,205 from the fund balance designated from FEMA revenue and $45,485 from the general fund. In section 1, it's the $35,443,110 to fund the preparation. On line 17, the number $34,910,420. Remove the word "the" before FEMA. After the second FEMA reference, it says funds, $487,205 from the fund balance designated for FEMA revenue and $45,485 from the general fund.
With that, you off, Dr. Gui off, is there a second? Second by Mr. Alborough.
When we offered this 2 weeks ago, there were blanks. And at that time, finance was working on the actual numbers to fill in these blanks. And several days later, they sent all that final information to each council member. As far as the specific explanation of the numbers, I'm going to defer to the administration to explain the numbers and the funding sources where these came from.
It is as read. The email was sent to each council member where the funds were coming from and the amount of the funds.
So let me just lead this. For the council members and particularly the public, would you explain the budget appropriation of the $35,443,10? The purpose of that first.
Okay. The 35,443,110 is a combination of those funds from the emergency fund, the FEMA funds, and from the FEMA revenue funds. And that's for disasters, to cover damages and disasters from Sally, Laura, Delta,
Yeah,
those
right.
hurricanes.
So it's there's a balance.
It's
It
the total
balances out. We
balance
see
that's
the
due.
appropriation.
That's due for those disasters.
For those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hurricanes. And the money that were, the FEMA funds, the fund balance from FEMA revenue and the general fund balance for emergencies, those add up to the $35,443,110.
Mr. Roussel?
So I'm trying to understand the budget appropriation in the amount of the 35 million. That is money that has already been spent and reimbursed by FEMA?
It's my understanding from Rochelle that this is the additional funds that they have determined are needed to meet our cost share of these hurricanes.
The 35 million?
No, I'm sorry, this says not 35 million.
It's a total of 30.
Oh, with 35 million?
It's a total of 35 million for all those disasters.
Correct, but it's a cost share.
Ours is 45,485.
He was out the room when all the figures were.
Okay, well, I think that, you know, an explanation, because we're going back in here, it says here, we're
Your mic.
appropriating. You give me the floor.
You got it.
That we're appropriating
So-
the amount of 35 million.
So the total cost is the 35 million. She's saying that, so they have to appropriate that because the total cost is increased. In which she say, and the 45,000 is the additional cost share needed for the increase. So the new total is 35,443,000. Our cost share is the 45,485.
I can understand that except for what it says. It says a budget appropriation in the amount of $35 million is requested to fund the preparation and recovery efforts resulting from the hurricane.
Right,
So
because,
so wait, let me finish.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So did we have money appropriated in the past to cover the resulting hurricanes, Harvey, Nate, Barry, and all of those items? And are we a double appropriation? Or we never had any money appropriated before? And have the money been reimbursed?
It's my understanding that this is increased funds. So the total cost of the projects are that amount. Those have been appropriated. There's an increase in the total of appropriation by the difference, and the 45,000 is the cost share. The whatever has previously been what's not been appropriated by the general fund is the revenues that they put into the budget that FEMA's obligated to pay. So yes, it's 35 million, but our share is only the funds that are appropriated out of the general fund. Everything else is created as a revenue because there's an obligation by FEMA that it be paid back.
So these are funds, so the confusing part is this goes back to Harvey, Nate, Barry, Delta, Laura, Sally. It looks like some type of a bookkeeping cleanup effort, but at the same time.
Yeah, it's my understanding that's what it is.
I know, but it says here that we're appropriating $35 million.
Correct, but you have I don't have what the original figure was, but the original figure would be
34 million,
would be the difference. It would be, I think these were 75, 25 storms, and so, 75% of 40,000, whatever, that would be 25% of what the total is, and so it's just increasing it from, right here, she's got appropriate 35,443,000 to recent hurricane projects, 45,485 from the emergency fund, and 34,910,20 from FEMA, and 487,000 from FEMA revenue. So, I'm sorry. So that would make it, I think, 90-10. If we would need to defer it, we can defer it. But
No, I'm just trying to get a clear understanding of what.
when I had a brief conversation with Rochelle about it this morning, that was what it was.
And so when it says 487,000 from the fund balance designated for FEMA revenue,
correct.
That's different than the original appropriation of the 35 million. You would think that the 35 million would be from FEMA revenue also.
But it says 34 million comes from the Federal Management Agency FEMA funds,
That's correct.
and 487 from funds balance designated from FEMA revenue, and the 45,000 from the general fund balance. And that adds up to the 35 million.
It should. It doesn't.
Yeah, I don't disagree that it adds up, but I'm concerned, I'm kind of understand, actually, not concerned, that where the 35, what we've had on the books in the past.
Well, it's my understanding that we had 34,910,000 in the past.
So why are we appropriation in the amount of 35 and not the difference between the 34 and the 35?
Because we appropriate the total amount.
So,
We appropriate the total amount,
Right.
and then, let's say, for number's sake, let's say it's, I don't know, 100,000. So if we have to increase the total appropriation by 10,000, we're going to increase our share, whatever percentage we owe pursuant to the hurricane, and the difference, so if it's 90-10, what I said, 1,000 or 10,000, it would be 9,000 from FEMA, and it would be 10,000 from our general fund, but we increase the whole project budget by the full amount because that's what we have to do.
I understand we're trying to get to the top number, but I'm confused about why we don't say increase the amount of money to that number, rather than say, therefore, the budget appropriation in the amount of 35 million is requested. Anyway, look,
Well, I mean, look, we can defer it.
I would just like to understand it.
Well, look, I understand it. I wish we would have had this question maybe before. We could have met with Rochelle and discussed it a little further, but
So you understand it?
I know what Rochelle told me this morning. I have confidence in what she said.
Well, I have confidence in
But-
all of y'all, but I'm trying to understand it.
But I can't tell you why finance uses the exact words they use in this. So if that's your concern, then my recommendation would be to defer it and do it in December.
Okay, I would ask that we do that just to understand it.
Or we can defer it.
Dr. Gui?
We can do it next week at budget hearings. And Rochelle will be there, so y'all can ask her why she uses the language she uses.
I have a comment about that. The agenda already went out for the special meeting due to the holiday on Friday, and it's not on the agenda.
You can add it as long as it's 24 hours in advance.
Are we good?
I'm gonna be out of the office. I'm off Monday.
Or you can do it by unanimous vote to add it to the agenda.
An ordinance. We can't suspend the rules for,
Well, it's already been added. You can suspend the rules for an ordinance if it's been properly advertised. So this ordinance has been on the table, it's been properly advertised for a week, and so it meets that standard, and so therefore, I think we can take it up at the special meeting.
All right.
Are we good?
Yeah, I mean,
And add it to the.
I have always been told we couldn't. This is
Okay.
the first time ever I heard we can, so it's totally up to y'all.
And the thing is, because you're not suspending the rules to introduce it and pass it at the same meeting, you can't do that. But it's already been introduced.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Moving on to
Got
the
it.
agenda.
Yes.
Want to defer it?
Yeah, we'll defer it and follow their lead. One comment I have is that I think it's important for everyone here and everyone watching this to realize that when we are inundated with a hurricane, it is extremely costly. And that's why it's so important for us to have a properly funded emergency fund. And we all know it's never enough. But the reality is in these numbers as to what we have to deal with and what the administration budget has to deal with.
And it's my understanding that Rochelle told me this morning also that she sent you all an email on this item. So I don't know if you all had the email, received it, or was able to look at it.
This was it.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah, so the questions are legitimate.
That's fine, okay.
Okay, defer.
Items deferred.
You got it, Kim? Yep.
Item 9Q, an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund operating revenue and expenditure budgets, Judges 25th JDC Division B and Juvenile Division Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Arbro, this has changes.
Can you do the changes?
Sure. On line 5, $1,823.25 has been struck out. The new amount is $1,907.98. And in the chart, it's the same amount has been taken out and $1,907.98. And each row has been added.
With those, do you offer?
Offer with changes?
Mr. Albroth offers, Mr. Blink seconds. Is there a question? Ms. LaHaye?
You have questions?
All right. Machines are open.
Did I hit it? I'm sorry. Machines are.
Machines open. Ms. LaHaye? Thank you. It passes 8-0.
Item 10, approval of the minutes from the October 27th, 2022 regular meeting.
Mr. Alborough offers, there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Gui. Any questions? Machines are open. Mr. Bartholomew? Mr. Roussel? Passes 8-0.
Item 11, new business. 11A, introduction of resolutions where and suspension is being sought. 11A1, a resolution to cancel the November 24th, 2022 and December 22nd, 2022 regularly scheduled council meetings due to the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
I'll offer for suspension only. Is there a second by Mr. Arborough? Any questions? Machines are open.
Councilmember.
And the suspension passes 8-0. Read it again.
A resolution to cancel the November 24th, 2022 and December 22nd, 2022 regularly scheduled council meetings due to the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
I'll offer as for a second. Second by Mr. Arborough. Any questions? Machines are open. Passes 8-0.
11B, District 9 update.
Do we have another suspension?
No.
Okay.
11C, District 8 update. Councilmember Blank.
Sure, I'll be quick. In regard to discussion regarding Coast Guard assisting with pollution issues, John Helmers, is there any update on some of the sunken boats from Hurricane Ida being recovered by the Coast Guard as a marine pollution hazard?
Not
the
at
harbors?
this time.
Have you put in an application to have those tidied up?
Our, what's his name, Carlos, they would be handling all that.
All right, I'm going to skip item.
Consultants will handle that.
Okay, all right, okay. Thank you for your service on that. Appreciate you forwarding that along. I'm going to skip number 2, DOTD Empire Bridge. I'd just like for the record, since there's going to be lights on the Empire Bridge, if those could not be on the traditional pedestal, but something that doesn't really ruin the view of the night sky, but still gives drivers a safe showing of the road there, that would be beneficial. And then item 4, update on the progress of resolution number 2227. This was an ordinance or a resolution that was, resolution created to create a community-based co-design to show CPRA in the state what exactly are the wishes of Plaquemines Parish residents and businesses in regard to the construction of the Mid-Barataria sediment diversion. How would it impact their lives? What would they need to get through economically, socially, et cetera? I was just wondering about the progress that the administration has made on bringing that resolution forward for action. And has it been put out for a request for proposal or a request for qualifications?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, is there a reason? Y'all been pretty busy or what?
Well, I think if we do that, we saying we want it to come, and I don't want it to come, so.
I would disagree with that. I think that, by acknowledging that in the event that it is constructed, that Plaquemines Parish government has acknowledged that its residents and businesses and the government itself here have very unique needs that need to be considered thoughtfully, and that a simple survey sent out by the state is not enough to adequately address the needs of the impacts of the residents, businesses, and the local government here, would be a very prudent decision to make and actions to take to protect their interests here.
Well, they already did the study, and it showed it's gonna kill all the seafood, and they still wanna go ahead with it. So what would another study do?
I don't think it's a study. I think it's just residents here getting around tables together, having qualified folks write down what they would like to see brought forward to deal with those impacts, right? So for instance, residents in Grand Bayou Village and Myrtle Grove are going to be offered 1/3 of their assessed property value or appraised property value. That might not be the solution that those residents want to see, right? And so I think it would be prudent to figure out what this is, and we pass unanimously legislation towards those ends, and getting that rolling would go a long way to show that Plaquemines Parish government is in fact looking out for its residents, and that while acknowledging that this council has said no, that they wouldn't like Mid-Barataria built here, knowing that it is a very real possibility, and that we have a structured plan in place to deal with impacts that was created by Plaquemines Parish government. I think that would be very prudent, and I'm just checking in on the progress of that because that was passed back in February 10th of this year.
Dr. Gui?
To put out a request for proposals, do you need a budget appropriation?
Yes, that was requested in June of 2021.
Do we have the
It-
appropriation?
It was requested through email, and the email was denied and said that we don't want to spend any money or to move forward on that because we're in opposition of the diversion. So at that point, we allowed CPRA to have their town hall meetings and to proceed what they were doing for their mitigation.
Well, it's unfortunate. I'm a big fan of sovereignty. It's a shame we couldn't get it, but I tried to do what I could. Yield.
Next item, please.
11D, District 1 update, Councilmember Bartholomew.
I'd just like to make some comments, and we'll get to further rest because most of it's been addressed. Have we had any additional grants available for the water lines on the East Bank? Mr. Epley, any?
We have an application in for a water sector grant right now for water lines on the east bank of the
Okay.
river. And we have not heard yay or nay on that grant application yet.
You know how much the awardment might be?
I believe it's for 3.7 million.
Okay. Great. Mr. Helm, I want to thank you for getting that stuff organized along with Scott Roos, Mr. Roussel on about the Bohemian Marina, Apollo Marina. It's looking like something, and we'll be able to keep some of the water at bay. But once you build that ridge, I'm sure that people are going to be very appreciative of that, so they can still maintain and do the work on their boats once they're on the shipyard and everything else. And it looks like something. So I want to thank y'all for those efforts, along with the employees that y'all have.
Thank you, thank you.
You might have, Mr. Roussel might have to send another truck because you're going further up with those hills. Because, I mean, they have to travel that much further. Thank you, that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Next item, please.
11F, District 5 update, Councilmember Roussel.
Yes, the only thing I
Oh, your
want-
mic.
Sorry.
Your mic. Mr. Roussel.
Yeah, we've already talked about the water plant intake, but I was curious to know, how many tractors did we wind up acquiring?
How many tractors parish-wide?
Yes, in all departments.
In all departments, we have a total of 12 that came in. We were still waiting on one more from the very first order, one tractor and one bush hog. We got 3 of them in, we got the 6 in, and then we got 3 others in, so we have a total of 12 right now. And I would like to thank y'all for introducing the money to be able to purchase the tractors, to be able to cut the grass, because within the month and a half that we had them, we've cut the highways, Highway 11, Bootville River Road, Beers River Road, the back levee, the river levee, and the East Bank. We had the East Bank come across and help us out. When they were caught up, they're back over there and they continue cutting today. But I appreciate the council's thoughts on getting us new tractors.
Thank you. And these are all
To be able to
big,
keep up.
these are all big tractors. These are not zero turns, huh?
They're all 15-footers with bush hogs, yes, sir. Oh, and they had, yeah, John just reminded, they had like $11,000 left over, so we bought 2 zero turns to cut around the marinas and stuff like that too.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Tuesday, Habbo will be down there at the fort cutting some more. We're bringing small crews Tuesday to try to clean it up a little bit better for the fort for the Orange Festival. And we have a couple more 15-footers that'll be there.
I was over there a couple days with the police department, their crews cutting. And he was supposed to take the lawnmower back with him and get the belts fixed. Told me to do that.
Okay, I'll check into that next week.
Thank you.
We'll get it on the way back up.
Thank you. You done, Mr. Roussel?
Thank you, that's all I have.
Next item.
Oh, they deferred.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Alborough, is that second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bartholomew. Any questions? Machines open.
Councilmember Newberry.
You too, my friend.
Ms. Newberry? Ms. Newberry? Mr. Roussel?
After all this stuff,
Mr. Button? Mr. Roussel?
Oh, all right, all right.
I do a fried turkey.
Passes 8-0. Let the record show we adjourned at 4:57 PM.